Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to take a closer look at some AI companies that saw some interesting news today. We had CoreWeave that just recently announced a partnership with OpenAI, or an extension to a partnership. We also had Cipher Mining, which announced an interesting report, yet the stock was down roughly 17%. We also had Nvidia that introduced, or there were reports that this company invested in an AI player. All that plus more. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so let's start off here with CoreWeave, ticker CRWV. This is a stock that was down roughly 5% today on the day after it announced an extension with OpenAI. So first, let me just say, CoreWeave is one of my biggest positions in my overall portfolio. It is my second biggest. The one biggest right now is Nvidia, and will continue to be this. Will continue to be that way, but CoreWeave is definitely up there. Now, CoreWeave is a stock that in this channel we really got into a few weeks after IPO at low 40s. We sold off during this crazy run up where the stock hit to 160. And we recently started buying back in the sub 100s. In the past 2-3 weeks, this is a stock I was screaming that I was buying nonstop. Now the stock is sitting at $126. And I keep getting questions. So say, now that the stock has dropped 5%, am I willing to buy CoreWeave right now? I would say at these levels, I still believe CoreWeave is a multi-bagger opportunity. Obviously, market cap of 61 billion. I believe this could go 200 billion if the AI market continues the way it is. Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next year. It's going to be a multi-year time frame as long as the AI innovation continues. Now, for me, CoreWeave though will be very volatile. Times like this, it would be more of like a small dollar cost averaging. It's not time to load the truck of how I would typically do it, right? I do believe the market always gives opportunities to patient investors. This here would be a dollar cost averaging, not a heavy truck buying like we did at the sub 100s. Now, with today's episode, CoreWeave on September 25th mentioned that they expand their agreement with OpenAI by up to $6.5 billion. So first, they start off that in March, CoreWeave announced the initial agreement with OpenAI with the contract value of up to $11.9 billion. A few months after that, on May, they increased it by $4 billion, and now today, they increased it by another $6.5 billion, making the total contract roughly $22.4 billion of AI compute in a multi-year timeframe. Now, this agreement of OpenAI builds on a series of recent CoreWeave milestones that underscore the company's role in driving AI innovation. This month, CoreWeave announced a 1.5 billion company, 1.5 billion pound investment in powering UK AI innovation, as well as they did launch kind of like a CoreWeave venture and they made an acquisition of a company as well to increase their technology stack, mainly the software stack within the AI infrastructure. I think these announcements are great. I believe the main reason the stock didn't go up much on this announcement is right now the market seems to be a little bit worried that every contract right here, or every of these AI hyperscaler contracts, seems to be with one major player, OpenAI. And the market is getting a little bit worried. Can OpenAI really pay all these customers? Can they really pay Oracle that $300 billion RPO that they have? Could they really pay CoreWeave that $22 billion RPO that they really have? And I think the market would be more excited if you saw other players, because you have kind of that customer concentration. Now, I've talked about it in the past. I believe this customer concentration is going to stay like this for CoreWeave for a very long time, because when we're looking at these massive compute capacity that is needed, there's only a selected amount of companies that can really use that type of compute needs, right? So you're always going to have those players kind of limiting the customer concentration. Now, I believe the market is looking maybe for some other customer concentration outside of OpenAI and Microsoft. Now, if you want to listen to the CEO of CoreWeave, I definitely recommend going to Googling CoreWeave CEO Bloomberg. Their CEO a few hours ago was on Bloomberg for about a 7-8 minute interview. He shares information, nothing crazy. The biggest thing that he says is just clients need more compute power. This is something that we've discussed a lot throughout this channel. It's not new news to us, right? but it does kind of give an understanding from the inside point of view of how the AI market is evolving. So definitely check it out. Now, if you are enjoying the episode so far, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Check out the pinned comment for a lot of great links. I have my free newsletter, What the Chip Happened. I have an amazing partnership with Physical.ai. If you want a lot of great charts and a lot of data, if you're a long-term investor, check it out. I also have some other opportunities as an investor that you would want to check out. Now, the next stock we're going to take a closer look at is Cipher Mining, ticker CIFR. Now, for those that are not familiar with Cipher Mining, this is one of those stocks that is initially a crypto miner, but has kind of pivoted a little bit into the AI space, as we've seen a lot of other players. Iron is another kind of important one in that market, right? So Cipher, TeraWolf is another one in this market as well. Today, they reported a partnership with FluidStacks and an investment from Google, yet the stock dropped 17%. Right, we can see it dropped 17% to 1164. After hours, though, the stock is up about 5.2%. The market seems to be getting a little bit more excited about this, but from 14 previous close, it dropped down to the mid 11s. I want to say this is probably one of the issues with a lot of these mining companies. This is something we've been talking about a bit in this channel. The power compute and the power capacity is constrained at the moment. And one of the biggest ways to kind of go about it is to go through these crypto mining, turning hyperscale, turning neo cloud players. But the market gets excited about these companies way before they really announce anything crucial, right? So we can see Cipher here between Friday 8th to now, the stock has gone up 144%, more than doubling in just a little bit over 2 months. Yet no major announcement except just the overall excitement for these companies and the expectations of deals like what they announced today. So today on September 25th, they announced that Cipher Mining signs a 168 megawatt 10-year AI hosting agreement with FluidStack. The transaction secures $3 billion in contract revenue over a 10-year term. $3 billion over 10 years, that's $300 million if you believe it's going to happen equally throughout the 10 years. I don't think it's going to be there. It's going to take over time. Expected delivery of 168 megawatts of critical IT load by September 2026. That's when I think you start to see kind of that full extent of that annual revenue, is when they have that full power delivery on September of 2026. Google backstops at a 1.4 billion of FluidStack's obligation and receives 5.4% equity stake in Cipher. And this establishes Cipher with its 2.4 gigawatts pipeline as a major AI data center developer. Again, I guess the market was already expecting something like this. And when the market expects this, even when the news comes out, you kind of see a little bit of a negative reaction. There is some strongness here, right? First is $3 billion in 10 years is great. The second thing is this can actually grow, right? It's originally a 10-year term agreement, but then you can have 2 5-year extensions. So pretty much a 20-year. And if exercised, it can be approximately $7 billion. At the same time, 20 years is a long time. The other thing is you do get the investments from Google, and Google becomes an equity shareholder, which obviously can be really good if Google wants to expand into maybe more data center solutions elsewhere. The other thing that I do believe was pretty good with this is it is excluding the contracted megawatts for FluidStack. Cipher maintains a growing pipeline of 2.4 gigawatts being prioritized for high performance computing. So there's still a lot of potential for a lot more gigawatts. All right. And in theory, right, if you're saying 168 megawatts is $3 billion over 10 years, you have more than you have about 20x that, a little bit less, maybe closer to 15x that coming in the pipeline. So in theory, you can do that 10-year times 15x if you get similar contracts like this. So the potential is still pretty high. Cipher sitting at a market cap of $4.6 billion. But remember, the stock has kind of gotten excited already. So those are the puts and takes that you have to think before investing into some of these companies. Hey, how much is expected, and if they announce a deal, is it necessarily going to drive the stock price up? I mean, because if we see one of the first ones was like TerraWolf, right? TerraWolf, for example, was pretty much flat for most of the year. But when that deal came out with Google, that's when most of the returns happened. And that's when you started to also see Cipher get very much similar excitement because of the expectations of deals like this. Now, I do enjoy some of these. I own a little bit kind of plays in some of these crypto mining companies, nothing crazy to really share. My biggest play is more CoreWeave because it does more than just the AI infrastructure. It has the AI compute. What a lot of these companies like Cipher is, they don't provide the AI GPUs. They more provide just the power. They provide the power shell. And the power shell tends to have longer contracts, but the money that comes in, the margins is a lot lower than kind of your AI infrastructure build out like CoreWeave. And I do enjoy CoreWeave a lot more than some of these players here. Now, the final company I want to talk about is Nvidia. Nvidia was pretty much flat, nothing crazy coming here, except they did invest in a new company. So Nscale just finished their Series B. It was actually the largest Series B in the UK and European history, and they raised roughly $1.1 billion. You had companies like Dell and Nvidia being investors here. Obviously, the main reason they're racing, and for those that are not familiar with Nscale is another kind of neo cloud, building these massive hyperscalers AI infrastructure. So the new funding will be used to further Nscale's deployment of large-scale AI infrastructure across Europe, North America, and the Middle East. They already have a lot of projects that they need to have this compute available for. For example, they have Stargate UK and Stargate Norway. So this is just NVIDIA continuing to make sure the AI market is alive and well. I don't think this is anything to worry about. It's obviously things to be exciting because we get to see AI infrastructure not just being happening here in the United States, but you're also seeing them happening in other parts of the world like Europe and UK. So I believe in the foreseeable future, we're going to continue to see these types of investments in the AI market. Now, that's all I have for you today. If you have any thoughts, any company, anything that I might have missed, let me know in the comments below. But take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.